7-year-old Noah hadn't spoken a single word in 3 years. But tonight, his silence was broken by a desperate sound, a low, keening whine as he pressed both palms against his bedroom window. His fingers fluttered against the glass, a rapid, repetitive motion that looked almost like a signal or a plea.
What is it, baby? What do you see?
When she reached for the curtain, Noah's body went rigid. Then came the screaming.
I am sorry. I am sorry. It's open. See?
After the third night of his window-triggered meltdowns, Rebecca sat in the hallway, shaking. She scrolled through her phone, searching for answers, and landed on a hidden camera. The next morning, she tucked a small, motion-activated camera between the books on his shelf, its lens aimed squarely at the glass. She checked the feed on her laptop, a clear view of the window, the dark yard beyond, and the empty sill.
Whatever you are waiting for, please just show me.
By dusk, the camera was recording. Noah was already at his post, hands on the glass, waiting. And somewhere out in the deepening night, something was watching him back. At 6:14 a.m., Rebecca stared at the laptop, coffee cold beside her. The recording was 3 hours long. She dragged the cursor with a trembling hand. At the 11:47 mark, the empty frame changed. Something moved beyond the glass, low and purposeful, slipping out of the dark pines. It was a bobcat. Heavy with pregnancy, she crossed the yard and leaped onto the sill without a sound. The animal's amber eyes found Noah. The boy, already at the window, pressed his hand flat against the glass. For 37 minutes, the bobcat and the boy simply looked at each other. Rebecca watched, a sob trapped in her throat.
He's never been this calm. Not once in 7 years.
She replayed the clip twice before she believed it. Then she climbed the stairs 2 at a time. In his room, Noah slept with a stillness she hadn't seen since he was a baby. She touched his cheek.
Something out there reached him in a way I never could.
When Noah woke, the curtains were still wide open, and Rebecca had already decided she would never close them again. The visits became a ritual. Every night, the bobcat returned, and Noah was waiting, hand already on the glass. On the 4th night, Rebecca watched the live feed. As Noah flapped his fingers, the bobcat lifted its paw and mirrored the motion. Noah froze. Then he flapped again, slower. The bobcat's paw followed, an echo neither had been taught. Over the next week, Noah's meltdowns faded. He ate better, slept deeper, and laughed for the first time in months. Rebecca booked an emergency appointment with their pediatrician, certain the footage would change everything. At the clinic, she opened the laptop. The doctor watched 30 seconds, then shut it with a sigh. He told her it was wishful thinking. Wild animals don't bond with children. She was likely exhausted and seeing patterns.
He didn't even watch the whole thing. He thinks I am desperate.
She left the office with the laptop clutched to her chest, the dismissal stinging worse than any of Noah's screams. That night, she sat beside Noah's window and waited. When the bobcat appeared, she pressed her palm to the glass too. The dismissal stung. That night, she scoured journals for a specialist in autism and animal behavior. She found Dr. Alistair Finch, a neuroethologist studying cross-species social mirroring. She emailed the footage with a plea. His reply arrived at dawn. If both footage and behavior are real, it's remarkable. I can see you today, Dr. Finch. She arrived at his book-lined office, and he played the video without a word. He replayed the mirroring twice, then removed his glasses.
This bobcat is pregnant. She's mirroring him. Do you understand how rare that is?
I don't know about rare. I know he's calm for the first time in years.
Keep recording. I want to observe remotely. If this pattern holds, it could open new therapeutic doors.
She left, clutching the laptop. A fragile hope ignited that she hadn't felt since Noah's diagnosis. Over the following week, Dr. Finch watched the nightly footage remotely, compiling data. The bobcat never missed an evening. The pattern was clear. Each visit, the bobcat synced her breathing with Noah's flapping. Dr. Finch leaned back, a term forming. At home, Noah brought his picture book to the window, holding it up to the glass for his silent companion.
It's co-regulating. Her presence is calming his nervous system. I've only seen this in therapy, never with a wild animal.
Co-regulating? She's doing this on purpose for him?
Apparently. But she's pregnant. If she leaves, his stability could collapse, and legally, she's protected. You can't keep her near your home.
So, if this bond is real, it could be torn away by law or nature at any moment.
That night, Noah slept by the window, hand on the glass. The Bobcat stayed motionless, a silent guardian. Finch's late email appeared. If anyone reports her, wildlife officials will remove her. You must exercise extreme caution.
I can't lose either of them. But how do I choose between my son's breakthrough and the law?
A week later, Rebecca scrolled through the latest footage. The Bobcat's belly now hung low and tight. She wasn't due soon. She was overdue. Any night could be her last visit. Once she denned, Noah's anchor would vanish, and with it, all his hard-won calm. Then, through the baby monitor, a new sound cut through the silence. Not a cry, not a scream, a soft, purposeful hum. She rushed to his room and saw Noah at the window, humming a low, steady note, the first intentional sound he'd made in 3 years. His hand rested on the glass, and the Bobcat on the sill tilted her head, ears swiveling forward.
He's trying to talk to her. He's finding his voice because of her.
Over the next 3 nights, the sounds multiplied. Soft clicks, a cooing trill, always when the Bobcat's amber eyes met his. Once, he tapped the glass with a rhythm, and the Bobcat tapped back with her paw, a mirror of sound, not just movement. Rebecca recorded it all, heart-hammering. Dr. Finch's voice echoed. If this pattern holds, it could open doors. But the Bobcat's time was almost up. The signs were unmistakable. Restless pacing, nesting behavior. Within days, she would vanish to give birth, and no law or hope could stop it. At noon the next day, their neighbor spotted the Bobcat through binoculars, pacing the sill like a guard. She dialed wildlife services, voice shaking. An hour later, a state truck rolled up. Officer Kyle, a weathered man in his 40s, surveyed the yard before knocking.
Ma'am, we've had a report of a wild bobcat on your property. I need to see the area.
Officer, please. She's pregnant. She's not a threat. My son, she helps him.
If she's habituated to humans, she's a threat. We'll trap and relocate her. That's protocol.
She's not habituated. She only comes to our window. She mirrors my autistic son. It's never happened before.
I've heard a lot of stories, ma'am. But wild animals don't bond. I am sorry.
He wasn't sorry. He was filing paperwork in his head, already mapping where to set the trap.
I'll be back in 2 days to set a live trap. If she's still here, we'll move her out.
Rebecca closed the door, her hands trembling. The Bobcat was still out there, but now she had an expiration date. The Bobcat didn't come that night, or the next. Noah pressed his palm to the cold glass, but the sill outside remained empty.
She's gone. He knows it. Look at his eyes. They're already dimming.
By the 3rd evening, Noah's agitation erupted. He banged the glass with open palms, a frantic rhythm without an answer. He threw himself away from the window, toppling a dresser drawer, then collapsed on the floor, mouth open in a silent scream that Rebecca felt in her bones.
Noah, I am here.
That night, after he finally slept, she stood at the kitchen sink and formed a decision that felt more solid than any rule.
If she needs a den, I'll build her one. Safe, close. I don't care if it's illegal.
She drove to the hardware store before closing, loaded lumber and wire, and started digging as the moon climbed. By dawn, she had a frame of pressure-treated posts, wire mesh, and a roof half-tacked against the sky. Her hands bled, but the structure stood. She leaned against the rough wood, picturing Noah's face when he first saw it. This was the only way, law or no law. By dusk, The enclosure was finished, a sturdy shelter lined with straw, a bowl of water, and a gate left open as an invitation. As she hammered the last nail, she heard a rustle near the pines. The bobcat was there, her sides heaving, weak and clearly in labor.
This is it. She can't make it to the wild. If I don't get her in, she'll die.
She grabbed a bowl of raw chicken, then crept toward the bobcat, her voice low and steady.
Come on, girl. You know me. It's safe. Just follow the food.
The bobcat's nose twitched. She took one trembling step, then another, her amber eyes locked on the bowl. Rebecca backed through the enclosure gate, placing the bowl on the straw. The bobcat crossed the threshold, her belly nearly dragging. Once inside, the bobcat collapsed onto the straw, panting. Rebecca slipped out and gently latched the gate. The bobcat was inside, safe from traps and coyotes. The birth would happen here, in the dark, under a roof, built by a desperate mother.
Now it's up to her. And nature. But at least she has a chance.
Rebecca positioned a battery-powered baby monitor in the corner, its camera angled at the straw bed. Then she waited, her knuckles white. An hour later, the monitor's glow painted her face. The bobcat was pacing, then circling, then lying down with a low, guttural cry. From Noah's room came a sharp knock on the glass. He was at the window, pointing toward the enclosure below, a soft keening escaping his lips. He knew. Somehow, before she'd even looked at the monitor, Noah sensed what was happening in the dark below. The bobcat's contractions quickened. At Kogo Juji Jujnatafun, the first kitten emerged, a wet, mewling ball of spotted fur. The mother licked it clean, her rough tongue working with desperate tenderness. Within 12 minutes, a second kitten followed. Noah never moved. His palm stayed flat on the glass, his whole body still. But a new light was in his eyes. Rebecca pressed the monitor to her chest. Mother and kittens were alive, nestled together. Her plan had worked. She rushed to Noah's side. Together, they watched the enclosure, where a tiny paw was now visible against the mesh. The bobcat had her den. Noah had his connection. And somewhere in that tiny miracle, a long silence was about to break. For 3 days, Noah barely left the window. He hummed, clicked his tongue, and once, just once, a syllable almost formed on his lips.
That was an M sound. He's trying to say something. He's so close.
She sent the latest footage to Dr. Finch. His video call came within the hour, his expression a mix of awe and alarm.
Rebecca, this is unprecedented. His vocalizations are directly linked to her presence. The brain scans I'd like to run would prove it's therapeutic. But if wildlife officers find out about the enclosure, they'll remove her, and I can't protect you. You've committed a misdemeanor at best.
I don't care about misdemeanors. He's made more progress in 2 weeks than in 3 years of therapy. I can't stop now.
Then we document everything. I'll prepare a statement for when, not if, this goes to court. That footage may be your only defense.
Court. He said court. This is bigger than I ever imagined.
That evening, as the mother bobcat nursed her kittens, Noah leaned out the window and made a new sound, a clear 2-syllable coo. Rebecca recorded it, staring at the screen. The miracle was real, but the clock was ticking louder than ever. A thunderous knock snapped Rebecca from a half-sleep. Officer Kyle was back, and this time he looked past her shoulder.
I need to see your entire property. Now.
She had no choice. She led him to the backyard, where the enclosure stood stark against the trees.
You built a permanent shelter for a wild predator. That's illegal.
Then he glanced up. Noah was at the window, tracing the glass with a palm, utterly serene.
That's him? The autistic boy?
He hasn't screamed since she came. He's making sounds, Kyle. First time in 3 years.
I'll give you 1 week. Get a permit from Fish and Wildlife, or I seize everything.
He walked away, leaving a 7-day countdown. Rebecca turned to the enclosure, her heart hammering.
1 week to convince them that a wild cat is my son's therapy. Where do I even start?
By dawn, Rebecca had found an advocate, a fierce woman, who agreed to fight on contingency. Her voice crackled through the speaker. If you have footage and a medical expert, this isn't just a case, it's a precedent. They filed an emergency petition. By noon, the story had leaked, and the neighborhood split down the middle. At the community hall, voices clashed. One side saw an illegal zoo, the other a boy's last chance. A man in flannel stood, face red. That animal could have rabies. My kids play right next door. A woman rose in the back, voice trembling. My nephew is autistic. If a bobcat could reach him, I'd do the same. The hearing was set for 14 days. Rebecca had to prepare a defense no lawyer had ever attempted. She stayed up all night, compiling video clips, Dr. Finch's notes, and a letter from Noah's therapist.
This binder is his voice. If they don't listen, I've failed him.
2 weeks. That was the window to convince a judge that a wild cat was as crucial as any therapy. The courtroom was packed. Dr. Finch took the stand in a pressed blazer, his glasses catching the fluorescent light.
This is a clear case of interspecies co-regulation. The bobcat's mirroring has directly correlated with Noah's first vocalizations in 3 years.
He projected the footage. The video showed Noah flapping, the bobcat's paw mirroring, and the profound calm on Noah's face. The state's attorney stood, voice dripping skepticism. A wild predator? Calling this therapy is dangerous anthropomorphism.
I report observable data. The boy regressed when she left, improved when she returned. That's causation, not sentiment.
The judge leaned forward, her expression unreadable. She made no notes, just watched.
Please, see what I see.
After 2 hours, the judge removed her glasses. I am deferring my ruling pending a site visit to observe the child and enclosure.
A site visit. She'll come to our home. She'll see Noah.
Rebecca clutched her binder, the weight of hope and fear heavy in her chest. The real test was yet to come. 2 days later, a black sedan pulled into the driveway. The judge stepped out, flanked by Kyle and Dr. Finch. They walked in silence toward the backyard. The enclosure loomed, and Noah was already at the window above. Noah's eyes were fixed on the mesh. The mother bobcat emerged, a kitten draped across her back. He pressed his hand to the glass. The bobcat approached the mesh, touching it with her nose. Noah hummed. The sound was soft but unmistakably content. The judge removed her glasses, wiping the corner of her eye. For a full minute, she said nothing. Before she left, the judge spoke barely above a whisper. "This is remarkable. I'll make my ruling clear in writing by week's end." That evening, Rebecca knelt beside Noah at the window. She pointed to the bobcat. "Say it, baby. Try." His lips parted. A strained, guttural sound escaped, then silence. His face crumpled in frustration.
He was so close. Why now, when it matters most?
Outside, the bobcat trilled softly, as if answering. Noah's hand flattened on the glass, and the world held its breath. At the final hearing, Rebecca squeezed the binder and walked to the witness stand. The judge's bench loomed above her. She described each night he pressed his hand to the glass, each sound he'd made, the mirroring she'd filmed. Her voice cracked when she mentioned the bobcat's kittens. They gave him a reason to try. Her phone buzzed on the gallery bench, ignored at first.
Not now. Please, not now.
It was the home camera alert. Motion detected in Noah's room. Then, a second alert, audio event. She rose, clutching the binder to her chest. "I have to go," she told the judge, and ran. The courtroom erupted in whispers. The judge's gavel fell, but Rebecca didn't look back.
Noah needs me. The verdict can wait.
She sped home, the police scanner app open. Praying she wasn't too late, she screeched into the driveway and ran through the door, up the stairs, her heart a frantic drum against her ribs. From the hallway, she already heard Noah's sobs, raw, keening cries she hadn't heard in weeks. She burst into his room and froze. Noah was at the window, sobbing, his small body heaving with each breath. Through the glass, the mother bobcat paced frantically inside the enclosure, a heavy branch wedged against the mesh.
Oh God, Noah, I am here. I am here. I am not going anywhere. I've got you.
Noah pulled back, tears streaming. His eyes darted from the window to her face. Then he pointed, first at the bobcat, then at her. His lips parted, trembling. A sound gathered in his throat, a word he hadn't spoken since he was 4.
Mama.
The word was a whisper, but it shattered 3 years of silence. Rebecca's legs gave way, a sob catching in her throat. She held him, rocking back and forth, as the bobcat below finally quieted. The moment was caught on the ever-present camera. Still on the floor, Rebecca fumbled for her phone and uploaded the raw footage to Dr. Finch. The subject line was blank. Within minutes, Dr. Finch called back, voice trembling. He'd already sent it to a documentary filmmaker he trusted. By dawn, a van parked outside. A documentary crew asked permission to film the aftermath. Rebecca agreed, too tired to refuse. They filmed Noah at the window, the bobcat below, the enclosure, and Rebecca's hands as they shook, pouring coffee. The clip of Noah's first word went live. By evening, it had 12 million views. The world watched a bobcat heal a boy. National news ran the story. The judge's office received 10,000 emails. Public sentiment had shifted overnight. Rebecca watched the broadcast from her kitchen, a hand over her mouth. The judge had seen the video. Now the ruling was inevitable.
I walked out of that courtroom, and he gave me a word. A whole word.
The documentary crew captured the next morning. Noah at the window, pointing at the bobcat, and Rebecca in frame, phone raised, crying. That image and video would become the thumbnail and headline the world couldn't ignore. The court was now under a microscope. 2 days later, the judge's email arrived. Rebecca opened it with trembling hands, the permit number already visible. Permanent therapeutic permit granted. She read it 3 times. The enclosure was now legal. The bobcat family was safe.
We did it, Noah. We did it.
The next day, Noah pointed at the bobcat and uttered a new word, clear as a bell, cat. Then, looking at the kitten's baby, Rebecca recorded each syllable as if it were gold. By week's end, he whispered, love, as the mother bobcat pressed her nose to the mesh. Dr. Finch published preliminary findings, crediting the co-regulating bond as the most significant interspecies therapeutic event ever documented.
3 years of silence, and now a new word every few days.
The documentary crew captured Noah sitting beside the enclosure, reading a picture book aloud to the bobcat family. A year ago, Rebecca had only wished for a single word. Now, she had sentences and a wild family that made them possible. The documentary aired on a rainy Thursday. Noah sat cross-legged before the television, pointing at the screen.
That's me. And the bobcat.
Each evening now, he carried a picture book to the enclosure. He read aloud, and the bobcat settled against the mesh to listen. The mother bobcat rested her chin on her paws. The kittens tumbled, and then grew still, entranced by his voice. Rebecca stood at the kitchen sink, dish towel in hand, just watching. A smile touched her lips, the first unforced one in years.
He reads to them. He talks. It's real, and it's ours.
That night, Noah said a whole sentence to the bobcat as he closed the book. See you tomorrow. The bobcat purred. Rebecca let the curtains stay open. She no longer needed a hidden camera. The miracle had become ordinary, and that was the miracle. Sometimes, late at night, she still checked the recording from the early days to remind herself how far they'd come. On the screen, the boy pressed his hand to the glass. Outside, the bobcat pressed back, and a voice, now so familiar, whispered, Mama. 6 months after the ruling, Dr. Finch's paper on interspecies co-regulation was published in a leading journal, and the invitations began. He asked Rebecca and Noah to join him at the National Autism Conference. Noah, now 8, practiced his sentence every day. On stage, Dr. Finch presented the footage. The audience gasped when Noah's tiny voice filled the auditorium. Then he invited Noah to the microphone. The boy walked across the stage, clutching a small card.
The Bobcat heard me when I couldn't talk. She waited for my words.
For a long moment, silence. Then the hall erupted. People rose to their feet, many openly weeping. Rebecca stood in the wings, her face buried in her hands, shoulders shaking with years of held breath released. That night, Dr. Finch's phone buzzed non-stop. Research grants, documentary offers, and requests for Noah's story poured in. Noah, still holding the card, looked up at the lights and smiled. He wasn't nervous anymore. The crowd kept applauding, not for the Bobcat, not for the science, but for a boy who found his voice through a window. Back home, the conference buzz faded into the quiet of a late summer evening. Noah settled in his chair by the enclosure, a worn storybook in his lap.
Once there was a wild thing that was loved.
Inside the enclosure, the Bobcat rested her chin on her paws, the 2 kittens curled against her flank, eyes half closed. Noah turned the page, tracing the words with his finger. The lamp flickered, but his focus never wavered. Rebecca leaned in the doorway, a cup of tea forgotten in her hands. She watched him, not the Bobcats. After a moment, she crossed the yard and placed a hand on his shoulder. He didn't startle, just kept reading. The lamp cast a warm circle on the grass. Inside it sat a boy, a book, and 3 Bobcats listening. Some bonds aren't written in language. They're written in patience, in a paw pressed to glass, in a word that takes 3 years to arrive. Far beyond the fence, the forest hummed with crickets. The sky deepened to indigo, and the first star appeared.
Good night.